Hi, Shireen Jones here with Healthy Now. So we're going to work with our cauliflower that I happen to have in the fridge, thankfully. And I thought, what am I going to do with cauliflower? I love roasted cauliflower. That's so delicious. It's so easy. You just chop it up and throw it into your sheet pan and give it a good glug of olive oil and some salt and pepper, and then maybe some smoked paprika or whatever you'd like to go with it, onions, garlic. So I thought, okay, that's where we're gonna start. And then, so how about some protein? So then I thought about chickpeas. Chickpeas are also great roasted. So maybe I'll roast the cauliflower first and maybe till it's nearly done, good and caramelized, about 20 minutes at 425. Sometimes I bump it up even to 450 because I really like it to get brown and crispy. And I also, you'll see I cut up my cauliflower really small. Then we'll add these in at the last 10 minutes, and I think I will toss it all with some smoked paprika. I did look up online, and this is what I often do when I have a base, and my base tends to be a vegetable or two versus a meat. And so my base was cauliflower, so I thought, okay, cauliflower, chickpeas, maybe cheese, or some other vegetable. And so I just plugged those keywords into the computer, and I found a recipe that indeed have cauliflower, chickpeas, and it had feta cheese and harissa, which I don't have, no problem. We will do a little dressing with some roasted red peppers. Maybe I'll just put these in my salad dressing with a little cayenne to give it some spice, and maybe a little bit of garlic, and I'll toss all that around with the cauliflower, the chickpeas, and then top it with some feta and sprinkle it with cilantro and parsley. And I think that's going to be a delicious meal. But let's get started. So first we're going to, there was my garlic. First we're going to chop up the cauliflower, and it has a few little brown spots on it, so I'm just going to trim those off quickly. I have a sink next to me to trim those off. Cleaned off those little brown bits. I'm just going to cut it here in the middle, and I'm going to take out the core. Just like that. So we'll just toss that, and I will compost that. And actually some of these little leaves here are delicious as well. And we'll cut out the core here. Anyway, so I just really literally, I have a big knife, which I would encourage you to have, but even more importantly, when you're cooking, it's really important to have a sharp knife. And this is a very sharp knife. And so I'm just, nothing fancy. I'm just gonna chop my cauliflower. So I don't know if you can see, but this is the size of cauliflower, and I can even go smaller, almost just above a rice, and then it really gets crispy and yummy and browned and delicious. But we're gonna go with this size right now, and then it will be important to sort of cut my onions about the same size. And as I mentioned, I will also be adding garlic, but I won't put that in right away because I'm afraid it will get too brown, and I'll sort of put that in towards the end. Well, actually, I think what I'll do is I'll put that in when I put the chickpeas in. Get ready to chop up my onions, and I have the onion peeled and cut in half, and I'm gonna cut the onion into thirds here, and I'm gonna cut it into a pretty big dice so that it sort of matches the size of the cauliflower. Okay, so I have my cauliflower here, and I've got my onion. You can't tell because they're both white, and I'm just gonna toss it around a little bit. I'm going to add some olive oil, and I will sprinkle this with about a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, sea salt, and I'm gonna sprinkle on some smoked paprika because I think that always makes roasted cauliflower good. It gives it, a little taste of the smokiness, which you get a little bit of while it's roasting, but this just enhances the flavor. And I definitely do not have enough olive oil. When I'm roasting my vegetables, I like them to be really well coated with the olive oil. So now you can see, I went a little light on the smoked paprika. I think maybe I'll add a little bit more. And I forgot some black pepper. Okay, so the cauliflower is in the oven, and I will tell you that I bumped up the oven to 450 because I want that cauliflower to cook quickly. I have to have dinner ready at a certain time, and you're not gonna hurt it. You just need to watch it and toss it from time to time. So while it's in the oven, I'm going to prep my garlic. I'll probably do 2 or 3 cloves. I'll just, chop them up. They don't have to be, in fact, they're better if they're not minced. It's better to have them a little bit bigger. I'll drain my chickpeas, and I'll chop up my cilantro and parsley. And then basically all I have to do is add the chickpeas and the garlic at the last 10 minutes of cooking. Those will cook and crisp up for 10 minutes. Then I'll take everything out. I will toss it with the herbs, and what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to toss it as a salad with arugula, and I'm going to make a dressing, as I mentioned, with the roasted red peppers. And then we're going to top the salad with feta cheese. I think this sounds delicious. I actually can't wait to eat it. Okay, I just chopped up my garlic, nothing fancy. They're all different sizes, but they're, not teeny tiny, so it will be a nice size to roast there and not get too burned. I have my cilantro, which is not the greatest, so I'm just gonna take out some of these yellowed leaves, give it a little rinse under some water, and then what I want to tell you about your herbs. You don't have to sit here and take all the leaves off and make it very complicated. Do you see here? I just have this with the stems, the leaves. It's all kind of a mess, and I'm just going to go doot, doot, doot. And so now I'm just going to give it another little chop like this. Those stems are delicious, and there's no reason not to eat them unless they're really woody, really thick. But most of the stems of your herbs that you're going to buy in the store are going to be very fine, and so I'll do the same for the parsley. So I put the chickpeas on the sheet pan along with the cauliflower. I tossed the cauliflower. I tossed the chickpeas with some olive oil, and I sprinkled them with a little bit of coriander and tossed them with a little bit of salt, and I added the garlic. And the other thing that I forgot in the recipe that I read online called for tossing the cauliflower with cumin seeds, and I thought that sounded delicious. I didn't happen to have any cumin seeds, but I had caraway seeds, and I love caraway seeds, and they'll work just as well. I think they'll taste delicious. So I tossed the caraway seeds with the cauliflower. Oh, and I hear some sizzling going on in the oven. That's great because I'm supposed to have dinner ready in 5 minutes. So hopefully this is going to be ready. Now, in the meantime, what I did here in this very large jar is I made a red pepper dressing with some fire roasted red peppers from Trader Joe's, plus olive oil, plus vinegar, plus salt, plus some coriander, and plus some some chili flakes. And I'm sort of trying to get that flavor of harissa, although it's not exactly the flavor, but it's the idea. So I will drizzle this over the chickpeas, the cauliflower, the arugula, the herbs, and I forgot to also mention maybe a squeeze of lemon. And we'll toss that all together, and that will be our dinner. And it's been done literally on the cutting board and on the sheet pan. You couldn't ask for an easier cleanup. Oh, and besides the big, large jar, which, by the way, what I did is I used my immersion blender to blend this up. But if you didn't have an immersion blender, no problem. Just put these peppers on your cutting board and just chop them up and throw them in with your vinegar and oil and some salt, and it will be delicious. Okay, so I've got everything prepped and ready to go. And I'm actually cheating a little bit because my cauliflower is not cooking and getting brown the way I want to show it to you. So I have just turned on the broiler. Isn't that a great idea? So I can get my cauliflower all toasty and brown so I can show you how I like it. You can decide if you like it that way, maybe you don't, whatever, that's fine. But I also wanted to show you the feta that I like to use. This feta from Trader Joe's, this Israeli sheep's milk feta, is so delicious. I don't even know how to describe it to you, but when they have it, I would grab that. Okay, so I have my arugula here ready to go, and I'm going to toss it a little bit with some of the dressing. I did find that the solids in the dressing, like the peppers and stuff, kind of, fall to the bottom of the jar, so that's why I'm using a spoon so that I can get all the deliciousness. And we're gonna toss this, and I think I better go check on that cauliflower since I've got the broil on. So this is my cauliflower out of the oven. It is still not as roasted as I would like it to be, but maybe this looks really roasted to you, or as browned as I would like to be, or as caramelized, but it's still gonna be delicious. So I'm gonna toss everything in here with the arugula. So here I am tossing this. Look at that, doesn't that look delicious? You've got the green from the arugula, of course the cauliflower is roasted, and then I will pour a little bit of our dressing over it so you have a little nice red hue. Then I'll leave the feta on the side so everybody can just put the amount that they want. But you see how fabulous this is and how really very simple it was. Shereen Jones, Healthy Now.